Joining me now is Shamsher Chaudhary. He's the former Foreign Secretary of Bangladesh. Mr. Chaudhary, appreciate your time. What is the situation on ground with the Prime Minister having left? Is the interim government already in place, or are you seeing this more as a state of flux?
Thank you very much for inviting me. There are two kinds of situations going on here now. One is the public outpouring of celebration, whatever you want to call it. Some of it is in the form of vandalism, which is certainly not desired and not wished. And the army chief himself, one of the civil society leaders of the protesters group, and the Secretary General of BNP has appealed for calm and restoring order. And we hope that will work. But you know, in a situation like this, where things turn 180 degrees overnight or within an hour, nothing calms down immediately. It's like a storm. A storm doesn't settle down immediately. The other thing that is happening now is the formation of an administration, an interim administration, as the army chief has said. How that will play out, I really have no clue. Obviously, there is the constitution still in place. So the constitution allows certain things and doesn't allow certain things. The constitution doesn't allow a non-party interim government. It just doesn't. So how do you circumvent that challenge? The prime minister has to be somebody who's a sitting member of the parliament. So the parliament is still there. In letter of the constitution and spirit, it says the prime minister has to have the confidence of the majority of the members of the parliament. Now, in theory, the majority of the party is her own party, Awami League. So if you don't have a prime minister from the Awami League, then how do you overcome that? But obviously, a prime minister from the Awami League will not be acceptable to the people. So the next best thing is to have somebody as a prime minister who is a member of the parliament, who had been in alliance with Awami League before, but this time he fought his election on his own. He's a former foreign minister, that is Anis Mahmood. He's from Jatiyo Party. So maybe that may be one way out. I'm not saying this is the way out with any degree of certainty. I think that is one way out. And then he can create a set of, small cabinet for a month or something and call a fresh election. Then the president can dissolve the parliament also. Now, the president can dissolve the parliament right now. Then you have a constitutional vacuum. So then you switch to then you declare a state of emergency under the president. The army chief has said that no state of emergency is being declared. So you have to play with the constitutionality on one side and public sentiments on the other. How do you find the right balance in the interim is a big question.
And Mr. Chaudhary, the question is, given the kind of vandalism and tension we are seeing, there are visuals coming in of Parliament being vandalized, airport is shut, TV stations vandalized, Awami League offices set on fire. Does it really stop here with the exit of the Prime Minister?
Very good question. I wish I could give you a very accurate answer. I wish, as a patriotic Bangladesh who fought for my country's independence, I really hope that sanity prevails, vandalism is not resorted to, or vandalism is stopped right now, it doesn't continue, because then you have a problem of crowd control. And who are best placed to control the crowd? Is it the police? The police, people don't have any trust or faith in the police. The police killed 300 people over the last few days. The Awami League student wing were directly involved in beating people to death. So the only institution that enjoys trust for controlling law and order is the military. And the army chief has said that our role will be simply to ensure maintenance of law and order, nothing more than that. That is what he has said. But the army does enjoy a degree of trust. But I have seen in one television footage that army officers or soldiers bringing down the portrait of Sheikh Hasina in her office and breaking it to pieces. So are elements in the army also getting caught up in the vandalism, or are they being forced to do that by the public? I cannot give you a clear answer to that. I hope that vandalism in the end doesn't solve the problem. There should be a peaceful transition of power. The degree of public anger, Maria, is goes back to a series of rigged elections, one after the other. That I am the only one who can run Bangladesh. Very dismissive attitude towards public sentiments. When the students said that reform the job quota system, they didn't say abolish it. And then she was very dismissive about it, calling them Razakars and all this kind of thing. And that ignited the fire even more. Overnight, it turned into a national movement, not just a student movement. And then you unleash your Chhatra League, the student wing of the Awami League, on the public, and people being beaten to death mercilessly. Girls being, literally hit by, hard weapons on their head, on their body. Chhatra League rushing into the emergency unit of the Dhaka Medical College, pulling out wounded students and beating them again in the hospital. So that is, again, one is where you cannot separate one from the other. If you go to one extreme of violence, then the answer immediately is another form of violence. It could have been all avoided if the Prime Minister had reacted in time.
Absolutely. Mr. Shamsher Chaudhary, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us here from Dhaka on NDTV.